Hey guys, looks like we have several of us on Zoom tonight. I'm not the only one this time.
Yeah.
Feel less lonely.
Oh.
Hey David,
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. All right, gonna go ahead and start the meeting, and we got somebody at the back. David Jones, Sergeant of Arms, and welcome to Queen City Toastmaster. I think because of the cold, we have some slim pickings tonight. There aren't a lot of people here in person, so I guess everybody's at home being nice and warm. And I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting and turn it over to our president, Elvis Lopez.
Hello, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters Club. I'm Elvis Lopez, and I'm presiding over this meeting tonight. Before we get into the content of our meeting, I would like to recognize the presence of our guests. We have guests online, and also we have here one guest in person. So I would like to start with the ones that are online. And I see Kwame, is that the right pronunciation?
Correct, Kwame, yes.
Okay. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. And please, can you tell us your name? How do you find out about our club? And what is your interest in Toastmasters?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Kwame Yeboah. I'm originally from California. I just moved to North Carolina about a year ago. I was living in Greensboro, and I had attended a few Toastmaster sessions with the Greensboro Toastmasters. I forgot which chapter it was, but it was I believe downtown Greensboro. But I didn't commit because I knew I was moving to Charlotte. So now I'm looking around looking for Toastmasters in the Charlotte area, and there's a bunch of them, right? But yeah, I'm just hopping on here and just kind of seeing you guys' groove and hopefully looking to join. And my interest in Toastmasters is just, I just want to develop my skills as far as leadership, public speaking, and just improve in those fields and in my career as well, right? But yeah.
Thank you. You're in the right group. And I also see someone else who has joined online, Elise Terrell. Good timing. Can you please unmute yourself? Tell us your name. How did you hear about our club? And what is your interest by coming to a Toastmasters meeting?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all. Hi, my name's Elise Terrell. I work for SAP, the software company. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. I moved here about 5 years ago, but I heard of the Queen City Toastmaster from a friend who's currently living in Charlotte. So this is actually my first meeting. And then I have joined a new sales role within SAP. And so I need to kind of present a little bit more and be a little bit more crisp in my presentation. So I really want to learn that from this group and how I can really improve my public speaking.
Thank you. You are in the right place. And now I would like to pass on the mic to our guest in person, Rick. Help me out, Eric. Yes.
Thank you, Rick. If you don't mind just giving us your name and how you found us.
Okay. Hello, my name is Rick Pyle. I've been living in Charlotte since 1999, and I've been to this chapter before. So it's good to be back. I like Toastmasters. I came about a year and a half ago, and I sat over there, and it went well. And I thought this was a friendly group. So I thought I would come back, and I'm looking to become a better speaker, better leader at work, because I have to present and I have to, I'm an engineer, so I've got to do a lot of technical presentations, and I just find it very difficult to do. I mean, I feel like I talk well to people and I've got a good personality. So I just need to find a environment where I can thrive and try to bring the best out of myself and in a non-judgmental atmosphere such as this place. So I'm working on my leadership skills and my presentation skills, and hopefully this will be the place that I can do it. Thank you very much.
Well said. Here to thrive, non-judgmental. That was like a sales pitch already. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. And now I would like to introduce the person who is going to lead us throughout this meeting. She is a seasoned Toastmaster, immediate past president, one of our dearest leaders here on this club. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Vanessa Waller.
Well, thank you, Elvis. That's very kind of you. Well, welcome everyone again to Queen City Toastmasters. It's nice to see a few of us both on Zoom and in person, and several guests, which is always exciting. So as Elvis mentioned, I'm the Toastmaster of the evening, and that basically means that I'm kind of like the MC. I kind of guide everyone through the meeting, and I introduce people who are going to be speaking to us more tonight. But before we jump into the meeting, I wanted to start us off with a theme for tonight. And I just have a quick question for everyone because I'm curious, and this does relate to our theme. How many of us have started watching an episode of our favorite TV show after work, and then we watch another one, and then we realize, oh no, it's past my bedtime. I'm going to be tired if I don't go to bed right away. And then we wake up the next morning and we feel a little tired. How many, is that a common experience? I know that happens to me a lot. Okay, good. Not the only one. So today's theme was inspired by this problem that I keep having. I keep wanting to keep watching my favorite show or reading my favorite book or whatever it may be. And then I realize, oh, it's late and I know I'm going to be tired, and the cycle keeps repeating. And so I've been looking for ways to make sure that I don't stay up too late and really make the most of the free time that I do have at the end of a busy work day. And I was doing some research into this topic, and it turns out that there's a lot of interesting thoughts out there about this. A lot of people say that instead of treating your after work time as just free time where you can do anything and everything, it helps to actually schedule things that you want to do. For instance, instead of randomly sitting down and browsing Netflix for a few hours until you find something good, you could decide, I'm going to watch this show that I know I've researched, I know I will like it. I'm going to watch it for an hour, and then it's going to be reading my favorite book. And then after an hour of that, I'm going to bed. Really structuring your time, even when it's after hours, can help you enjoy that time even more. So that's going to be one of my goals. It's an early New Year's resolution. I'm going to start practicing now. But I wanted to share that idea, and I'll have a couple more insights on that topic as we go through the meeting, because I know it can get busy as we get into the fall and holiday seasons. Work starts to get busier, and it's tempting to just neglect our free time, but it's important not to neglect it and to make the most of it. So with that, to kick off our meeting, I'd like to introduce a member who will be getting us started on a good note, and that is our joke/inspiration master. And that will be filled by Allie Brooke tonight. And Allie, you're joining me on Zoom, so I'll turn it right over to you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I was thinking about what I was going to share tonight to inspire us. How many of you have had struggles that you beat yourself up on, or you think about it like, I wish I would have, or I could have? Can show a raise a hand. Yeah, me too. So I was shared this story that I'm going to paraphrase for you all tonight, and it forever changed the way that I not only help others, but also my view on my own struggles. So here goes. Again, I'm paraphrasing the story. So there's a man and he's going for a walk and he sees a cocoon and he's so excited, and he picks up the cocoon and he brings it home and he's eagerly waiting for this butterfly to come out. And one day he notices that the butterfly is really struggling to get out of this cocoon, and he can't stand it anymore. And he rips open the cocoon. And yes, the butterfly was freed and no longer struggled, but the butterfly was forever grounded because her wings couldn't puff up and she didn't go through the struggle to learn how to fly. And so, like the struggle to get out of the cocoon gives the butterfly its beautiful wings, struggles in our life make us stronger and give us our wings to fly. And so as I heard that story about a year and a half ago, it forever changed. Now, when my children come to me and ask for advice, I ask them, do you want me just to listen, or do you want me to help fix this? So I'm giving them the opportunity to embrace their wings and fly. And now I look at my own struggles as I have my wings and I'm flying and I'm stronger and I'm bolder, and I look at struggles different. So here's to all of your wings to fly.
Thank you, Allie. I love that metaphor of the butterfly needing to have that struggle. It kind of reminds me of when people say you can't help the chick hatch, you have to let it keep pecking at that shell to build up its muscles and really have that challenge. So I think that's it ties in nicely with tonight's theme as well, with structuring your time, making sure you have room to grow. All right, our next helper of the evening will be someone to keep track of our filler words. I know I'm guilty of this. I say I take too many little sneak fillers, so, and you name it. And that is our grammarian. Please help me welcome Leon White.
Hi, my name is Leon, and I'll be your grammarian today. The purpose of a grammarian is to not only just give a word of the day, which I will, but is to also track the proper grammar and language use, including the use of any filler words such as so, like, to just help us to improve as speakers so that we can talk with more fluidity when we're on stage. It definitely comes in handy during our table topics as well. And with that being said, I would say that our word of today is pervasive. It's an adjective. The meaning of it is existing in or spreading through every part of something. The way you could use it in a sentence is the pervasive aroma of barbecue brought the neighborhood together. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to our next speaker.
Thanks, Leon. I will take back the virtual microphone. Great choice of word as well. It's an underutilized word. That's always what we strive to practice with our grammarian word of the day. So good choice. Our next helper will be helping us keep track of how long we're speaking, especially when it comes to giving a prepared speech. It's important to rehearse it so you stay within a certain time limit, and that is our timer. Please help me welcome Sapana Atikari. Please correct me if I said your name wrong.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. My name is actually pronounced Sapana, like what's up, Sapana.
Sapana.
So as timer, I will time everybody's speeches today. I will time the table topics, formal speeches, and the evaluations. I will alert each speaker of the time they have using the green, yellow, and red cards, which denote specific times remaining. Table topic speeches should limit themselves to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will raise the green card. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, I'll raise the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I will raise the red card. Today, I don't believe we have any icebreakers, so the other speeches should be 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I'll raise the green card. At 6 minutes, I'll raise the yellow card, and 7 minutes, I'll raise the red card. Individual evaluations should be between 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I'll raise the green card. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll raise the yellow card, and at 3 minutes, I'll raise the red card. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'll hand this over to the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna. Great overview. As a point of clarity, I wanted to ask, people in person may know this, do we have a ballot counter still? Or are we doing that just virtually? I noticed on the agenda we don't have it filled in, but I may have missed something.
We don't have one today.
Okay, no worries. All right, and that leads us into the most exciting part of the meeting, which is our prepared speeches. And tonight we have a speech by David Jones, our Sergeant at Arms and former president of the club as well. His speech is about a book launch. My interest is piqued because I'm always curious about authors in general, how they market their books, how does a book even get published? This is definitely a subject that interests me. So David, I'm excited to hear more and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. Now, this is supposed to be a 3 to 4 minute speech, but it's going to be 5 to 7 because I have a lot to say. And thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My ex-wife and I were together for 25 years, and we had a good life. We got married, we had 2 daughters, and we tried to give our daughters the things that we didn't have. We had made sure they had a nice lifestyle. They both went to private schools their whole life. They both went off to college. They got their master's degrees, and now they're living their lives happily and successful. So as parents, I think we did good. We did a check mark. We have successful kids, and that's all I really wanted in life was for them. The challenge was the husband and wife aspect. My wife and I fought and argued continuously. We struggled as a couple. And when I say continuously, I literally mean 2-3 times a week we'd have an argument. For years, for a decade, every single week we're fighting and arguing. It's just part of our DNA. We just hit heads all the time. We went to marriage counseling for years, and nothing really helped us other than butting heads. And there came a point where it was almost mundane and routine, where we would fight and argue so much, but it was just, you were used to it. But it came down to Friday night, it's like, all right, let's go out to dinner. And then Saturday night, let's go to our friend's house. And Sunday, we're gonna go to the football game. Monday, I'm gonna cook. Tuesday, she's gonna cook. Wednesday, we're gonna order pizza. And it just started doing that over and over again, week after week, year after year. And it was just a mundane, boring life. Throw in the argument and the chaos of the family. And it was the final argument that we had where at the end, my wife was sleeping upstairs in the bedroom. I was in the living room sleeping on the sofa. And I remember laying there looking up the ceiling, and I thought, this sucks, right? This is not the life I want to have. And I didn't see it changing, but I knew that there was something else out there for me. I knew that something was calling for a different type of life, not someone. I never had any infidelity in our marriage, but I knew personally to grow and to be somebody else, I had to make a change. And that's when I asked for a divorce. And divorce was the most difficult thing I've ever done. I think it's the most difficult thing anybody could do. And asking for divorce is like having a root canal or a major operation. Right? You know that you have to have it done. You know it's going to be scary. You know it's going to be painful, but you have to do it. That's the only way to cure yourself. And you know, once the surgery is done, it's still going to be painful because there's recovery and rehab. And no matter what type of insurance you have, you're still going to get tons of bills. It's very expensive to have surgery or a divorce. But eventually I made it to the other side. I was in my bachelor pad. I had the big screen TV, the surround sound, and I was content. I was watching sports every day. I was watching movies. I didn't have anybody telling me what to do, not telling me to get ready for dinner. I'd have donuts for dinner. I'd have chicken wings for breakfast. I was content. I was doing what I wanted to do for the first time in my life. About 4 years into this, I realized that I was once again in a rut. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't progressing. One of the reasons I got divorced is because I wanted more for myself, but I wasn't doing anything. So I started joining meetup groups and networking groups, and I met a whole new set of friends, people that inspired me and raised me up. I got a life coach. I joined Toastmasters, people who inspire you and hold you to certain standards. And my life began to change. And that's when I started thinking about my book. My book is How to Do Life Without the Wife. And the book talks about, one of the first things it talks about is making new friends. Because friends, when you get divorced, they all leave. Because when you get divorced, your friends are still married with kids. And they can't hang out with you because they have dad and husband duties to do. They can't go to the bars with you. And if you're going to make new friends, you need to make sure the friends that you have are going to inspire you, that they're going to bring you up and support you. You don't want to have friends that are going to come over and sit and have pizza with you and watch TV. I don't have any friends like that because that would be the rut. I want people that inspire me and hold me to higher standards. I also go into talking about taking responsibility for your marriage and for your life. For 4 years, I always would say that my wife was to blame for the divorce, that her arguing and nagging is the reason we got divorced. Today, I believe I'm 100% responsible. Through self-discovery and talking to my coach and other people, I realized my faults and that I was probably the cause of the divorce and all the arguing and fighting. Another chapter is about dating. Dating's very tough after you've been with somebody for 25 years. But in the dating section, I refer them to the self-love section. Because in life, you can't give someone else what you don't have. If you don't love yourself, you're going to get into another disastrous relationship with somebody who doesn't love themselves either. So one of the main chapters is self-love. I have other chapters on self-care. You need to be able to care for yourself. Grooming, getting massage. Sometimes it's good to be selfish. And there's a lot of different chapters for men to rebuild their lives after they've gone through a divorce or loss of a spouse. At the end of the book, I talk about a question I got that was, do I think that I could save the marriage knowing what I know now? And the answer is yes, I definitely could have saved our marriage. But if I would have stayed in my marriage, I wouldn't be who I am today. And therefore, that's why I'm recommending How to Do Life Without the Wife to help you along your journey in life. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, David. I definitely am curious to read more of your book, and such an excellent story that you shared with us. So thank you so much. Loved your ideas about self-care and self-worth. Those are always great to be reminded of as well. Can we please have a quick timers report for our speaker, since I believe that's the only speech tonight? And then
David, your speech was 6 minutes and 22 seconds.
wonderful, thank you. All right, our next segment of the meeting is a chance to practice our impromptu speaking. This is always fun because how many of us have been in a situation where we're at a meeting or we're at a gathering and we're asked something we weren't expecting to have to answer. And it's good to have those skills of thinking on your feet and being able to come up with a response. So to kick off our table topics, let's welcome Eric Laxer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vanessa. And thank you, Toastmaster Facilitator, President Elvis. You're doing a great job. Thank you. So we're going to spend the next few minutes going over table topics. And by way of introduction, for those who may be guests, table topics is an opportunity to practice impromptu speaking. And impromptu speaking is a skill that we have to use throughout our day, throughout our week, and throughout our careers. I want to give everybody just a couple of simple tips on impromptu speaking, because I recognize that for many people, including myself when I first joined, coming up here for table topics can be a little unsettling, especially because you don't know what the person is going to ask you. So here are my tips, and these may be helpful for some or they may be not, but if they are for you, then please feel free to use them. The first thing is, all table topics is having a conversation. So imagine if I asked you the question and I wasn't standing up here with you, we were sitting beside each other at the tables. It would be a different perspective, but it really would be just answering a question that somebody just asked you. My second tip is sometimes we start thinking a little too much. Just start talking. Even if you're repeating the question you were asked, I think it's helpful to just start talking. Get outside your head if you can. The third is something that I think helped me a lot. It's not always applicable, but I try to speak from an image. So if somebody asks me a question and in the answer there's an image, all I need to do is describe what I see in the image, person, place. And along the same lines, I think it helps to use your senses. So if you're answering a question, just describe, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? And those are easy ways to come up with something that really makes sense. And the last thing is can be thought of like a mini speech. You have an opening, you have a body, and then you have a closing to your question. So those are my tips. I hope they're helpful. If they are, then please feel free to share them. And I want to remind everybody that the word of the day is pervasive. So try to use that during your answers. And the format is, I will ask you a question. You have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. We'd like you to speak for at least a minute. If you're a guest, if you speak for less than that, that's perfectly okay. And what I would like to do is first call upon other members in our group who are either here or online, and we'll start with those who are here, but who don't have a role tonight. And so if you are a member who doesn't have a role, but want to answer a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll start with you. And if you're here and you're not sure, then I know David's excellent at just identifying somebody. Garrett, are you interested? All right, come on up, Garrett. Let's start with you. Please give Garrett a round. So my question is trying to keep consistent with Vanessa's theme. And so why don't you please just tell us what it is you like to do in your free time?
Okay. Thank you, Eric, for the question. Vanessa, like you, I find myself wasting way too many hours watching shows on Netflix. I'm sure a lot of us in this room can probably relate to that, as I saw the hands go up earlier. My guilty pleasure of a TV show is the dumbest humor TV show you've ever heard of or ever seen. Has anybody seen the show Trailer Park Boys in here? Didn't think so. It is a ridiculous show. It's a vulgar show about three friends running around a trailer park doing small time crime, trying to gather up as little money from these crimes as they possibly can, while at the same time, a drunk trailer park supervisor is trying to catch them in the act and send them to prison. And I have watched this show for probably the past 4 or 5 years. And the amount of seasons, or the amount of times that I've watched each season, is embarrassing, and I won't even tell it in front of you guys. I can quote the entire show, no problem, every episode. It's absurd. And I'll start watching it, I'll have it going on in the background, and I'll look up and 3 hours have gone by. And keep in mind, these episodes are only 22, 25 minutes long. So I'm really racking through these episodes in the span of 3 or 4 hours. And so Vanessa, like you said, I think it would definitely be beneficial for me to sort of have a timeline and track how much time I'm spending and sort of outline a specific time to watch it, so that I'm not just wasting these countless hours on this ridiculous show that I love so much. So thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Do we have another volunteer from somebody who's here? I'm going to come back to you, Rick. Sorry, I should have said a volunteer member in the group, but I will definitely come back to you. It's okay. Heather, do you want to come up? Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to step aside so you could stand here, because this is kind of like the stage. So if you can, just share with us either a person or a non-human animal, if you like, or whatever, that you like to spend time with when you have free time, and tell us why.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I definitely love spending time with my three best friends. We go on a girls' trip every year, and we've gone to, and we also love to travel. But we all live in different places. My friend Paula, who I've known since I lived in Dallas, Texas, for over 20 years now. She actually is in an RV full time, but she lives, is kind of based in centralized in Denver, Colorado. So we don't get to see each other very often. So it's really special when we go. She is part of the girls' trip. And then my girlfriend, Christy, who I've known since the 8th grade, she lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so enjoy spending time with her. We've had a lot of history on each other, 8th grade. So we've known each other through many different phases of our lives. And so it's really, we kind of go back to the old days and, can be very silly and ridiculous. And sometimes when you're making friends later in life, it's hard to just get in that zone, and we can get there instantly. And the third friend is Danielle, and she lives in Virginia, and we've been friends since 7th grade. So again, long-term friendships. Again, she knows quite a bit, one more year longer than my friend Christy, and she lives again in Virginia. So it's really special because we don't get to see each other every day. We do text, we do Marco Polo, but it's nothing like being in person, and especially on an adventure together. So can't wait for our next adventure.
Thank you. Okay, Rick, come on up. Please join me in welcoming Rick. So Rick, can you just describe a place you like to go when you have free time, either locally and what you do there, or if you're going out of town, where you like to go and what you like to do there?
So I like to go up to the mountains, especially this time of year, because it's so nice. I'm a big mountain biker. So you probably saw me riding in the parking lot. I don't know if you guys see me. I was doing wheelies down the road there. But yeah, I like to mountain bike. I do that a lot. So up in the mountains this time of year, riding around town. I'm in bike clubs around town. Do a lot of cycling with the groups in town. So if you see people in spandex riding around, I'm probably with them. So, but yeah, I like to go to Boston as well. My wife is a marathoner. So we'll be going up there next in April. I ride the Boston Marathon on my bicycle, by the way. I'm the only person that does that, I believe. I've been through the entire crowd, and I don't see anybody else riding a bicycle at the Boston Marathon. So do not go on the course, because they will try to arrest you. So just, if anybody ever goes to the Boston Marathon, don't go on the course. So we like to go there. We like to go up to Montana. We've been up there to Glacier National Park a few times. It's been wonderful. That's been very fun. Traveling. My wife wants to go to Germany next year and do a marathon over there. So we're going to find out over in Berlin. So we're going to find out how that goes. But just keep supporting her, doing my thing as well. Just traveling around, having a good time.
Great. Thank you very much. Vanessa, do we have time for any other questions?
I believe we do have time. If you have one or two more, we can definitely fit those in.
Okay, let's see if anybody who is online would like to participate in a question. Safa, are you available?
Hi, yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for volunteering, sort of.
You're welcome.
So if you had all the free time in the world, tell us what you would do and how that would really change your life.
That's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking, Eric. If I had all the time in the world, I think I would travel. I really looked up to Anthony Bourdain. He really just inspired me to explore the world and get to know other people and cultures. And he was also really empathetic too, and just really understanding. So by doing that, by traveling, getting to know others, I do want to give back in some sort of way as well. I'm not sure what that would look like, but I think living a meaningful life would would include serving others. So not just in my own bubble of Charlotte, North Carolina, but exploring what else, God has created. So yeah, traveling, that's how I would spend my time. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if one other person, maybe one of our guests online would like to participate. If you do, please just raise your hand. Okay. We'll see if Elise. Oh,
I was
Elise, did
gonna
you?
volunteer, but then you started moving on, so I was gonna go ahead and back off, but I'll try it.
All right, you're in. Good job. So my question for you is, on a day where you have nothing you have to do, where work is canceled and you have no commitments, but you know you're going to do something that you really love to enjoy your day, what is it you would choose to do during that day?
So on the days that I don't have to work and I don't have to do anything, I really like being outdoors. So whether that be doing yard work or gardening or going on a hike. I've really been obsessed with hiking recently. So me and my fiance have been going to Boone on the weekends and hiking Grandfather Mountain and some other mountains out there. We like going to breweries after we hike. And so we really enjoy just being outdoors, really being with a good group of people. And so that's really how we've been spending a lot of our time when we're not having to work.
Great,
So
thank you. Okay, Vanessa, are we done?
Yes, that sounds good. And we may even wrap up a little bit early because we just had the one speaker. But thank you, Eric, so much for all those very creative table topics that tied in so perfectly with the theme. That was wonderful.
Thank you, and
All
thank you to
right.
all of our speakers.
Yes, and in fact, I just heard such a great variety of responses, everything from traveling, spending time with friends, TV shows. I love that. And it brings to mind another idea I'd been researching about our theme tonight. And I love this quote. It's from an article published in The Guardian, written by Oliver Berkman. And this author was talking about how we don't value our free time enough, and we don't see it as we should, as a serious part of our day. And his quote is, "It's fashionable these days to talk about the importance of downtime, and nobody could disagree, but let's not ignore the somewhat sinister implications of that phrase. It risks defining every minute we're not working, producing value for our employers and their shareholders, as time that exists solely for the purposes of recovering or relaxing, or just hanging around until work uptime begins. If we gave it the respect it deserved, if we treated it as a different kind of uptime, we'd plan and structure it as carefully as our work lives." Just love that idea of uptime being not just at work, but also when we're having fun after work, doing maybe something like Toastmasters. Hopefully this is something that's somewhat fun and is uptime. And with that, I'll turn it over to our general evaluator, who will talk a little bit about the meeting as a whole and will introduce the evaluation portion of our meeting. Although maybe I need a timers report for our table topics first. I almost always forget that. All right, Sapana, if you don't mind coming up one more time.
It's a microphone. Okay, thank you. My apologies for forgetting about calling for that.
Okay, everybody did such a great job today. Garrett, yours was 1 minute, 52 seconds. Heather, 1 minute, 46 seconds. Rick, 1 minute and 24 seconds. Safwa, you were 53 seconds. And Elise, you were 47 seconds. I think the goal is to try to talk over 1 minute. So everybody did a great job. Thank you. And now I will hand it over to Eric, the evaluator.
Wonderful. Thanks, Apana. I appreciate it. All right, now take two. I think I will hand it over to our general evaluator, who is also with me on Zoom, Colin Stifler.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vanessa. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. It is a pleasure to be with you this evening and to share my opinions on why I believe tonight was such a successful meeting. But before I get to my thoughts, I'd like to introduce our speech evaluator this evening for David Jones, and that is going to be Toastmaster Jamie Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So I will be preparing the feedback or providing the feedback for David's speech tonight. And first off, I just want to say I'm in awe of you. To write a book is challenging enough. To write a book about a very personal experience is altogether different. And then to get up and have to talk about that experience. But based on your comments, I think it's also been very cathartic for you. And it's been a journey of introspection. So I'm going to share my feedback on 3 dimensions: structure, content, and delivery. I'll highlight some things that I thought worked very well and some opportunities as well. Start with structure. I think you do a great job of bringing in analogies throughout. You used humor to bring it to life. The surgery example is a good one to maybe drive home that something can be painful, but still very important for growth and for discovery. And it's better than avoiding it, right? And perhaps letting something fester. In terms of opportunities, there's some really key messages in there. And I think it took a little too long to get to them. So you were providing context, you were sharing about maybe the environment that was becoming challenging, maybe a bit toxic in some cases. And I think that's important context, but I think it's more important to get to what are those key life lessons that came out of it that you then want to impart through the course of the book. And so you do this about maybe 2 to 3 minutes into your comments, and you start talking about some of the key chapters that really bring to life some of those lessons. What I would suggest is try to get to those chapters in like the first minute, right? At the very end of the first minute, here's what I went through. Here's what that taught me about my need to act now at that particular moment. And here's how I'm going to take those lessons and start to share them through with you, my audience, through the book. We'll move to content. I thought your examples of discovery and realization were pervasive throughout your comments. And that's probably the most powerful part of your comments. It's the importance of being motivated and inspired. You gave this really great contrast of having been in a rut, right? Now found yourself with all of this freedom that you had been craving, right? All of this self empowerment in terms of doing what you want to do, but then found yourself right back in that same rut again. And I think that's a really key theme that's worth trying to figure out how to flesh out further or make a more central part of your comments, because that's that arc that you're going through. That's sort of the whole story journey. And I would find ways, through the chapters, through that structuring, but to really make that message come to life a little bit more. And so along those lines, if there's some specific excerpts from the book that you can point to, quotes, right? This is your words. Bring your words to life. Quote yourself. I think if there's some really evocative and powerful messaging in there that can bring that arc story to life, I think that would be great. Lastly, delivery, good use of the space, great eye contact. My main thing here is voice inflection. This is emotional roller coaster you've been on over like 4 or 5 years. So help us feel that. Help your audience understand the highs, the lows. I know you've got perspective. I know you've had time since, let some of those things heal a little bit, those nerves to become a little less raw. But that's, I think, what's going to really draw that audience in. If you're out there doing a book release or a book unveiling, that's what's going to get people excited about it. Overall, great job. I think this is a great opportunity for one that you could do again, right? And think through how you want to bring it to life a little bit more. And I'd love to hear it again.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jamie. This time, I'd like to request a timers report for Jamie's evaluation.
JB, your evaluation was 3 minutes and 44 seconds.
Thank you very much for that timers report. So now I'd like to share a few of my own thoughts about tonight's meeting before turning it over to a grammarian for our grammarians report for this meeting. So first and foremost, I want to draw attention to the fact that, per usual, we started on time and our string of punctual meeting times. Our meeting initiations remains unblemished as a club. We always do a phenomenal job of starting on time and being respectful of one another's time. On the subject of time, Vanessa, I thought this was a very, very well orchestrated meeting. I thought it was a very thoughtful meeting theme. This is a topic that strikes me a lot personally. I've always struggled with my own time management. I think for various reasons, this is a subject that many of us who are part of the club and just more broadly in society connect with. So kudos to you for preparing a subject that I think people can engage with and speak to from a variety of different perspectives. You're always very poised and very graceful as a host. I really admire your eloquence and your energy, and I look forward to emulating you in that regard as Toastmaster of future meetings. Allie, with regard to your inspirational speech, I thought you had a really thoughtful and unique take on a natural metaphor that many of us are familiar with. You know, we're likely to encounter, you know, the metaphors of caterpillars turning into butterflies. You know, in many places in society, in children's books and classrooms, it's very much a pervasive sort of metaphor for, you know, the trials and tribulations and journeys that we're all on in life. I thought you did a really good job, and it's a really nice tone for this evening's meeting. Leon, your role as grammarian, I thought the word of the day, pervasive, was really good, because it's a word that, as Vanessa stated, is not very commonly used, but is incredibly useful. I think it's easy to choose, you know, a fancy vocabulary word as the word of the day that is, you know, nice to know and have, you know, in the back of your mind, but isn't always useful in a variety of contexts. This one certainly is. Great job in picking that. Sapana, as the timer, I just want to thank you for providing this important service. It's also relevant to the meeting theme, but it's very hard to perceive the amount of time that we spend when we're talking. You know, it seems like time is moving really slowly when we're speaking in front of a group, but more often than not, it turns out that time is moving very quickly and we can't really perceive it. So I find that knowing how long we're speaking for is one of the most useful and beneficial takeaways that I get from coming to these meetings. So thank you for volunteering to be the timer this evening. David, I can't provide any more commendations beyond what Jamie said. Wholeheartedly, you know, agree with all of the praise that you received from him. I'll just say that personally, in the time that I've been coming to Queen City Toastmasters, you have always struck me as a phenomenal speaker. You're somebody that I look up to and hope to become one day in terms of my own development as a public speaker. With that being said, I think that you really shined tonight because you tackled a subject that was deeply personal. I'm sure it is one that has evoked a lot of emotions over the period of time in which you've written the book, when you've grappled with these changes in your life. And you spoke with such poise and grace. You know, I hope that, you know, whatever challenges that may arise in my life that I may have the opportunity to speak to, I can speak to them with the same confidence and poise that you've demonstrated tonight. So very well done. Eric, with regard to your table topics presentation, is the best one I've ever seen, not just because the questions I think you prepared were very approachable, regardless of whether or not you're a seasoned impromptu speaker or a guest who's participating for the first time, but because you provided advice off of the bat. I think one thing that, probably because everyone in here is pretty humble, we don't offer a lot of advice. However, there's a lot of folks in here that are great examples of what you can become when you invest in this club and you invest in your own development journey as a speaker. And I'd like to call upon anyone who's been here and who has kind of grown and evolved through their participation in this club or other Toastmasters clubs or other professional endeavors outside of this to weave more advice into your roles. I love hearing, you know, little pieces of wisdom that you have identified over the course of your own journeys. please provide more of it. I don't think that it's egotistical. I don't think that it is something that people will think about poorly. Everyone in here is humble, is smart, experienced. If you have something to share that you think others could benefit from, please follow Eric's lead and incorporate it into your speaking. Just want to give a shout out to Garrett, Heather, Rick, Satwa, and Elise. It's not easy to get up and participate in table topics. A special shout out to Elise and Rick for doing so as guests. It's even more difficult when you're first getting started. And Jamie, with regard to your evaluation, I thought it was very thoughtful. What I really liked about your evaluation is that you gave a very clear roadmap for where you were going to go with it, and then you took us there. I think that is super helpful, just to get a little bit of a preview of where things are headed, and it helps me as an audience member. I'm sure it helps David, the speaker as well, really absorb everything that you're saying and internalizing it, as opposed to perhaps being a little lost as to where you might be going with a point or two. So well done. So with that being said, I'm going to turn things back over to you, Toastmaster Vanessa.
Thank you, Colin. Excellent, thorough evaluation as always. All right, looks like we are ready to finish up a little early to give you a few extra minutes of free time back in your day, which is always fun. I want to leave you with this final thought to close out our theme. One thing that has really helped me with enjoying my free time as much as possible has been overcoming that pervasive fear of I'm not doing enough, I'm not being productive enough, and not having that guilt when I do decide to take downtime, deciding I am going to have this completely guilt-free and just enjoy it. So that would be my final closing thought, is don't feel guilty if you decide to take some time to watch a TV show or hang out with a friend or whatever it may be. And with that, I will turn it back over to our presiding officer, Elvis. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Elvis. I just realized we forgot the grammarian report. So let me first turn it over to our grammarian, Leon, if you want to give us your report before we close out the meeting.
My apologies there, Vanessa. Very kind of you to use the royal we in apologizing. It was totally my oversight. It was my job to introduce the grammarian, so I'll accept the blame. Apologies, Leon.
Sorry, Leon.
Oh, it's completely okay. Yeah, today was a great meeting. And I first and foremost would like to say, as a new member of Queen City, this is my 4th role that I've volunteered for. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially with this role and volunteering for roles, is that it requires you to listen more objectively to speeches and when people are speaking, which in return have been helping me. And I would definitely say that as a grammarian, one of the things that I've noticed most when filler words are most used are in transitions. And I've been working as a speaker on trying to pause during transitions, especially when you're thinking kind of off the cuff, to eliminate some of the filler words. But overall, everybody did a good job in terms of grammar. And I wanted to pay specific attention in counting up all the filler words, just simply because in my past, my 11th grade English teacher would actually take half a point off our grade anytime we use filler words. And I've also had the pleasure of speaking in front of some professional speakers that actually make you pay them $1 for every filler word. And even though we're not going to start that here, unless you guys want to, but I'm here to share all of the filler words that I caught just as a benchmark, so that as you continue to speak, you can continue to improve and kind of have a benchmark number from where you were. So first was sapena, sorry. I caught 3 filler words, just a few ums. Eric, you had 3 us. Garrett, 1 filler word, which was and so. Also, Heather also used that a few times. In total, you had about 10 filler words. Rick, I counted, and also good job for being a guest and stepping up and sharing your experience. Caught it 9, which is pretty good. Safwa, also in speaking with you from when you started and just being a little bit nervous about doing table talks, you did really well. I really enjoyed listening to you speak. I caught 3, and Alice, I caught 4, and Colin, 8, and Jamie, you were pretty clean. And also want to shout out to Colin and Jamie for using the word of the day and just some words of wisdom that I caught during your speech, David. And if I could, being a young man who witnessed my father go through several divorces, if I can get him to read the books that I give him, I would most certainly buy your book and give it to him. But having friends that inspire you really stuck out to me. And Eric, I really enjoyed your advice when it came to table topics, which was pretending as if you're speaking one-on-one. Something that I do a lot is just look at the audience as kind of one consciousness when I'm speaking to them. That helps me. So that is your grammarian report today, and I enjoyed volunteering in this position, and I'll pass it back to our presiding officer, Elvis.
Great job. Thank you so much, Leon, and thank you one more time, Vanessa, for such a wonderful job as our Toastmaster of the day. Please help me giving another round of applause to our Toastmaster of the day, Vanessa. Lots of love, inspiration, advices tonight. What a great meeting. I would like to give the opportunity one more time to our guests to give us your final thoughts about the meeting tonight. So I will start with the guests that are online. Please unmute yourself and just give us final thoughts about what you thought about the meeting as a whole.
Hey,
Kwame?
Kwame here. Hey, I thought it was really cool, man. The way that all the members are articulating themselves it's really impressive, to be honestly. It's fun to be here. It's very interesting story from the gentleman that was sharing the story about him and his wife. I don't remember his name at the top of my head. I'm sorry. Grammarian did a great job. I think everybody pretty much executes their respective roles successfully. So like I said, awesome job by you guys, and hopefully I'll be back next week. So yeah.
You're very welcome. Elise, like to say something?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the meeting. I think everyone participated really well. I think I really enjoyed in this meeting how it was very timely. Everybody spoke within their time. It had a speed to it, and I absolutely love the feedback that I'm hearing from everyone to the speakers. I absolutely love that. I think that's going to not only benefit me, but everyone in this meeting. So I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to come back again.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
And we'll just go to Rick, who's here in person.
Thank you, everyone. I'll say that I've learned a lot tonight. I think I've seen the perspective of good speakers, people who are learning, and very well seasoned speakers. It's something that, David, watching you, you're very good. It was just enjoyed listening to you. And gentlemen, I'm sorry, the blue background. Colin, you are so seasoned. Thank you for being who you are. Obviously, you've done this a million times. It just flowed out of you. I can tell that, some people I think it's about collecting your thoughts, being in the moment, being here and now. And I just think that some people can capture that and the essence of, letting it flow. I saw that through some people tonight. And that's where I want to try to get to myself as a speaker and a leader in the future. So thank you for setting a good example for me. And it was a great meeting. Thank you very much.
And I just want to give Alan, who is the president of Valentine Toastmasters, an opportunity to say hello and also maybe plug his group and tell us when they meet and what their schedule is.
Hi, everyone. Like Eric just said, my name's Alan Assad. I'm the president of Valentine Toastmasters. And I come up here when I have the opportunity. And after having my car parked on 77 for almost an hour, I almost second guessed that choice. But I'm happy to be here. As all of our guests said, it's a great group. It's very dynamic, very diverse. There's always new people joining and sharing their perspectives. And I do like to come and see what makes other clubs unique and their own special nuances and try to apply those to make my club more successful. And then also try to cross promote, which I'll be doing more of soon. And that's all I have. And I think, Taki, would you like to say anything?
My name is Taiki. I've been coming here for 2 months, and then it's always good to come here and I learn new things. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Eric. Well, one more time, thank you so much to all the members, our guests that honored us with your presence tonight. Please come to visit us again. We are here every Tuesday. Thanks again, everyone. With that, I would like to call the meeting tonight adjourned. Have a good night.